Okay, so welcome to Sit Chat.
Thank
and
you.
uh,
Thank you.
and let me give a very brief introduction of what this is all about, and then we can move on. I will first share my screen.
Yep.
See, the idea was that I would invite some people from the SIT community and also others, outside the group, to basically have a chat with them. That was the initial thought which I had.
Correct.
And in doing so, to talk about various topics which are relevant for the SIT community. And this to be planned every Thursday at 8:30. I just chose that as the day and time. And then started looking at various topics like organization structure, financial discipline, assessing the market size, scaling up business, etc. So now it's been almost a year since I've been doing it every Thursday. And various speakers come and then they share their insights. Today we have got Muthu, who is a expert in technology. Of course, he would definitely share with his wisdom with a good amount of professional backing, but still, we recommend that you consult your trusted advisors and consultants for taking any action based on the insights that you may generate from this chat show. So, with that brief introduction, topic for the day is hints for successfully launching technology startups. That's the topic which we have chosen for today. And this will be delivered by Muthu. Muthu is somebody who has been in the technology space for a long time. And in the meantime, he also is a exponent of various, what should I say, support to the startup community. He has been mentoring companies. And also now he is working on a low-code platform for digitalization in companies. At the same time, works on various projects with his clients, who would be the IT companies, for bringing about the digital transformation and the digital revolution in our society. So, with that brief introduction, over to you, Muthu. Please give a brief introduction, and after that, you can share your wisdom on what kind of hints you tell for the companies who want to start up with technology. Yeah, please go on.
Sure. Thanks, Dinakar. Thanks for giving the opportunity to have a chat. It's really nice to hear that this chat show is there for a year now. So my best wishes, and then quickly getting on to this. A quick brief. You wanted, right? Been in the IT industry for almost 3.5 decades now. So we belong to that old genre of ATA, right? Assembly to artificial intelligence. So we have been spending a lot of time in all these areas. So, I had been into various technology and large projects, architecting, solutioning, and then, providing advisory for large enterprises. And then finally, I have embarked on a journey of digital transformation with a local platform called iProof. And then also working on some digital twin assignments, very specific on the digital twins for battery management system. Okay. Today, I wanted to share my experience, especially with technology. Probably, can I give a quick presentation because I
Yeah, yeah,
just
sure,
made
sure,
some
sure.
few
Share your
slides.
presentation. Absolutely.
Probably, I will just share my screen. Let me see.
Yeah, please.
Share screen. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, start the broadcast. Yes, so it should be
Yeah, it's
on
visible.
now, right? Yeah. Okay. So, uh, right, is my screen visible?
Yeah, yeah, very much, very much. Go on.
Yeah. All right. So, what is the purpose of a technology or innovation is to enhance the quality of life of common man. In fact, I don't know who said this. I have been using this for quite some time, for almost 2, 3 decades now. Okay. It is very important that we understand that how successful companies are using technology, right? If you see most of it, it would have touched the common man and improving the quality of life. That is the very, very important factor you have to look at it. So I wanted to just go through some of the examples of the large unicorns, right? In fact, I still remember one of the bank, at that time, I think it was during 96, 97, right? Late 90s, when core banking was being automated, right? one of the key things when it achieved was that, everybody used to do this end of the day, closing manually, and then they would used to go home, at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or even 9 o'clock in the night every day, right? But with core banking, everybody were able to close it, at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, as soon as, the banking thing was over. So it means that it is improving the quality of life of every person, right? And also it was increasing the service window. Similarly, if you see all the successful unicorns, right? For example, you take Uber or Ola, right? What happened? It has enhanced the quality of life that I don't have to run around for anything, right? I go and then book a cab, it comes to, right? I want to book a hotel accommodation, I have an app to do that. Now, the way these technologies, if you see, very, very important is to understand how this technology being applied to enhance the quality of life of an individual. That is where, all these organizations are becoming very, very successful. So, for example, if you see how mobile is, helping us, on those days, the telecommunication was limited, but as soon as, the technology started advancing, right? So the people started adapting more and more, and then all large organizations have become much more bigger, and then into a big conglomerates, right? In fact, a simple example is about the calculator, right? If you see, even today, calculator is being sold in the market, and people are buying calculator, right? The need for calculator is that it has touched the life of common man to that extent, it is still being used, right? In spite of all the, the kind of convenience, ergonomics, the speed at which it can do the basic simple requirement, right? So these are all very critical factors, why, these are all very successful, these technologies. So if you look at on the other side of it, how do you want to, this technology is being used, which has become irrelevant. For example, somebody did a folding TV, right? I wouldn't say this as failures, but it has become irrelevant, right? Why do I need to fold a TV in my drawing, right? There may be, several billions would have spent in the R&D and then to come out with the technology, right? But it doesn't serve the purpose, right? What is the need for it, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
Similarly, if you see on the internet, right, somebody has invented a square wheel cycle, just because you want to reinvent the wheel, right? Somebody, but do you think it can be adapted everywhere? No, every day, I don't think it is feasible to adapt that cycle and then draw, especially drive that cycle in a road in a condition like India, right? So these technologies, whatever you try to come out with the invention or the product, right, they all become irrelevant. Similarly, you take this HMD and the metaverse, right? They initially it had all fanfare, everything, but why would I need that on a day-to-day thing? It has a need, but it is very niche. So it is not large-scale adoption is still not there, right?
What is
Similarly,
HMD?
HMD is the head-mounted devices, right? So what
Head-mounted
right now,
device. Okay, 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 okay.
this Apple has come
Okay.
out with the Provision, right? It has its own purpose and it is serving some market, right? But do you think every day somebody would wear that and keep walking on the road, right? Yes, there are certain crazy people who still do that, right? But the large scale adoption will be, going to take a lot of time, right? So for a startup, you have to be very, very cautious in terms of how the solution we are working out. Finally, one important aspect in all these things is what is the business problem I am addressing using the technology, right? And am I selling the technology or selling the solution to the customer? Right. So what happens is many startups in the enthusiasm, they try to come out with something, a solution, which is basically, they try to sell it. They overdo on the technology and then they try to sell the technology. Finally, it doesn't serve the purpose, right? Whether you want to apply a blockchain, somebody said for the sake of it, I will apply a blockchain into a transaction system, right? blockchain as the technology itself is compute heavy requirement, right? And if you cannot put that onto a OLTP system, right? So you have to be very careful in choosing what is my business problem, what is my solution, and what is the technology I am going to use. So the technology is always a double-edged sword. If you don't use it properly, it is going to hit you back, right? I will give you some examples, how, have you seen the movie Frozen?
No.
Okay. It's basically a kind of a cartoon movie, very typical to VR kind of thing you will see, very 3D, nice movie, Frozen. There was also a movie called Kochadayan. If you remember, superstar Rajinikanth was in that character,
Okay.
right? It was all, circling around superstar in that movie. But what happened was the Frozen is a movie with all hypothetical characters and hypothetical this thing, right? It
Mm.
was very successful. The movie was a super duper hit.
Mm.
Whereas Kochadayan had lot of technology into it, but it was not successful. Okay, it didn't even make whatever the production cost is.
Mm.
The reason was superstar Rajinikanth was not acting in as a person, right? They
Oh, he
tried
was
to
like
do
a
a
machine.
so they were not even a machine. They tried to do a digital twin as a character, and then they brought all these technologies to capture the motion, put his image, and then they tried to do it became like a superstar Rajinikanth became a cartoon character in that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
People couldn't accept it. I said, why? He is a legend and he is alive. And why do I want to see that person in the movie where it is portrayed as a cartoon character?
Correct.
Right? Absolutely. But the way the amount of the money spent, several crores were pumped into it with the latest technology to capture the motion, to capture the image. Everything was done, including, all those things. But that entire technology went into drain because you cannot blame the technology, right? It is a tool, but you applied it in the wrong place, right? Whereas the Frozen is a typical character, cartoon character kind of movie, which was super duper hit. But I'm not going to get into what is the storyline, what made success and all. Here, the lesson for us to learn here is where do I apply the technology, right? Now, applying the technology very, very important. That's why when you do a startup, you have to be very clear in terms of what is the white space you are addressing. Basically, what is the business problem you are addressing, right? Second, you should never sell technology to the end user, which will never work. You have to sell a solution to the customer, right? You have to go with a proper business case, which the technology will enable the solution to deliver that business outcome and the business goal. Now, if that clarity is there in the solution, then the technology startup will be successful. Otherwise, what happens is after some time it will become irrelevant.
Understood. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the quick thing which I had to cover. Probably, I will leave it open. While I can cover so many things, probably I thought I would leave it to you for
Yeah, we will chat. I got a lot of questions. I have
yes,
got a
yes,
lot of
yes, yes.
questions. See, let
Okay,
me
let me
start with the
stop
first
there.
one.
Yeah,
Let me start with the first question.
yeah,
See, if you look at the any startup, many a times you are trying to solve a problem. And to
correct.
solve a problem, you need to have some kind of even if you have a technology solution for solving a problem, there should be some kind of a POC available for you to test it out, whether it works or not. Now, most of the
Correct.
time,
Correct.
the base POC itself will be very expensive for a startup to invest
Yes.
in that POC. So, what is your strategy so that whatever be the idea, you spoke very aptly and very, very correctly that the business problem has to be addressed. Now, for
Right.
me to see if my solution, which I am thinking will work or not, what is the best way of getting a solution very quick and dirty so that I can test it out.
Right. See, this is again specific and context based decision you will have to take. Right. There is no universal solution to this. That movie which Kung Fu Panda says, right? What is the secret sauce? Actually, no secret sauce is the secret, right? Similarly, here in this case also, if you see, it depends on what technology you are trying to evaluate and then address it, right? While all these solutions are available for trial R&D, in the test mode, right? The best is to get your hands wet, fold your sleeves, get into it, validate the technology by yourself in terms of, let's say, if you're working as a team for 3 or 4, right? Or 2, whatever it is. You have to get that and then try it out. For example, there are certain things where there is a hardware also involved, right? For example, let's say you take the Vision Pro, right? Apple Vision Pro or something like that. Now, there you want to do something to it, you will have to buy the tool, right? And then only you can try it out. In such cases, the best way is to partner with the OEMs and then say you can go to Apple and then say, I have this kind of a solution, help me out with this thing. You can go there into the, in fact, a lot of these R&D centers and incubate centers, they have a separate, enclosures for these kind of, R&Ds and trials. So you can engage with one of them and then, you can do. And second important thing is you have to do a fail fast, right? You should never be afraid of failures, right? You have to celebrate your failures, right? In fact, I would also like to share that I also had a failed startup, right? I had a startup which was working on AR, VR, and then at some point of time we said, okay, we will exit. There is no point in continuing because we had our own bottlenecks where we couldn't proceed and then we were stuck. So best is you try out and then do. Don't have the guilty feeling of I have not tried it out. If I had tried, I would have been
Should have
well.
worked out.
You
Correct,
never
correct,
have
correct.
that guilty feeling. So you try out and then come out.
See,
So the best way to validate your concept is to really do the proof of concept in terms of what is the solution you are trying to do. You have to build it as a small prototype. But you should ensure that this prototype, whatever sampling you are doing, covers the larger purpose you are trying to.
correct, correct. And see, you said you're also in the low code platform stage phase,
Right.
right? In
Right.
in that space. Now, can't low code platforms be used for creating such very quick and dirty solutions for testing it out?
Absolutely. 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 See, when you talk about solution, right, we are always thinking of, as an IT solution, right? But when you go into that, there are a lot of fundamental research happening, core research happening, everything is happening, right? So that's why I was trying to be very generic, not restricting it to any IT or this thing. I said you have to do your prototype where there is a device involved. You want to try out an IoT solution, or you want to do, let's say, something on a material you are working out, right? So those kind of things, right? You still have to try it out. But given that, since you asked for very specifically on the low code platforms, right? There are different categories in the low code platform itself, right? Starting with the no code, very simple things like your Google Forms or your Office Forms, right? They're a very simple UI. Then the next step is where you can add some logic to it and then you can do it. Then the next, category is where you come enterprise grade applications you can develop, right? So that is where you will have to see. So many times what happens is you use the wrong version, try to evaluate your concept, and then you say the concept is a failure because you are not able to do this, right? So that is where you have to apply your thing and you have to ensure that you do the groundwork. This is what my solution I am planning to do, right? Propose the solution. And this is what are the requirements for which what is the tool I have to use. So you have to do that mapping and then start use the right tool for the right purpose, then you will be successful.
But is this knowledge not very much available in India, Muthu, with the various companies? Because whenever I've gone to anybody, for whatever reason, whether it is for me or for somebody, they
Yeah.
always talk about a full stack development and the amount runs into lakhs. Minimum 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 8 lakhs.
I will tell you, this is a kind of a double-edged sword. Okay. I will also tell you what is happening in the current trend, right? All large enterprises are, this organizations, basically the end consumers who are going to take the solution, they do no longer need a large monolithic big enterprise applications. They want to start with the small applications and then start building over a period of time. So they also have, very focused roadmap so that their cash flow is also not putting
Correct.
because, these are all very medium enterprises,
Correct.
right? So that is where this composable applications, come into picture. If you look at the Gartner's trend, right? Composable application is a new area where the unit of function is enclosed into a capsule kind of a thing, and it works. And then you keep on adding applications, and still, all these things have a very universal ground on which, all these things will talk to each other and then still go through it, right? So this composable application is something where, through the microservices architecture, it allows you to build. These platforms will allow you to do that. So you start developing, let's say, for example, you are looking at for a 1,000 crore turnover company, right? And they have, let's say, retail. Okay. So what do they need? Retail, I would need an inventory. I would need a purchase. I need to track this thing. Then I have a warehouse management. I have to do a point of sale, right? So all these things you start building one by one, right? And then eventually you start getting into it. Then you get the mobility into picture, right? So you can do that, in a in a structured, in a phased manner, and still everything will start working in unison, right?
And this
So that is
compostable one is, compostable means you develop and implement it, or it is just a development?
Correct. See, composable is the term, right? What do you do when you say you want to compose let's say the best example is the symphony, right? Why you called composing a symphony, right? So what happens is each instrument and each thing, that duration for which they think through, and then they write the thing, and then they compose the entire music. Then it becomes a song, right? Similarly, you build small things, and then, after like a symphony, right? The orchestration, it becomes a complete solution by itself.
Fair enough.
So
And for composable, each composable element will be working on its own, correct?
Absolutely.
Should be
Correct.
working on its own.
That is what symphony is, right? If you look at the symphony, right? Let's say there are 10 instruments playing. You will be able to still listen to one instrument, and it will be pleasant to hear by music by itself, right? And then when you see the complete, hear the complete symphony, then, you get the complete song, into it. If you see, even the songs, the film musics, if you see, right, what is the composer's job, right? They think through and then say, okay, I want to play like this raga I want to use, this instrument I want to use, and then they compose everything. So you will still be able to listen to it even without the voice, if you notice, right?
Correct.
So that is where the symphony comes into the picture. That's how the composable applications are. In terms of, it will be working on its own, and still everything put together will work in an orchestrated manner, in a cohesion.
And the knowledge of these composable applications, how do you develop it? How do you create an architecture for that? Is that not very strong in the Indian market? The awareness of that?
I'll tell you, the awareness is picking up, and a lot of people have started adopting all these low-code platforms now, right? So there are a lot of low-code platforms in the market, and I know I am embarking the journey with iProof. Similarly, there are a lot of other things like OutSystem, Mendix, Flow Creator, Microsoft Power Apps. A lot of applications are there, right? And each one has got its own different sets of features and capabilities. Some are no code, some are enterprise grade. So what happens is, some are process driven, some are UI driven. Okay.
UI driven. Okay.
UI driven. So most of this, some of these enterprise grade low code platforms, right? They encompass everything. So they will have a BPM, they will have RPA, they will have document management, everything, embedded into it. So when you develop the application, you will be able to develop it. What I will tell you, what is a common mistake people make, because you started on this low code, I wanted to touch upon this important factor. Most of the end users, because of its power to be flexible, people think that I can do it like Google Forms, right? Uh, you can't compare it with any of these low-code platforms with Google Forms or Office forms. The very nature is these forms are meant to capture a specific information, that's all, in a linear model, right? But when it comes to building an application, there are a lot of things. There is a business logic, there is non-functional requirement, a lot of aspects are there which need to be taken care. For example, the role-based access control and all by default available with these platforms. You don't have to code anything. By default, the platform will take care. For example, these enterprise applications, you don't have to worry about scaling, right? Automatically, they will scale because they are architected for it.
Okay.
Right? So that is where the thing is picking up, and people have started adopting. I am personally providing large enterprises these kind of solutions, both India and abroad. There is a lot of things coming up. People are now trying to. It also gives you the flexibility to break up your big problem statement into
Smaller bits and pieces. Correct. And iProof is what? It's a platform that you have developed, or is it something which
No,
is?
it is this platform is from a company called Cognitive Platform Solutions. Okay, and this company is based out of Chennai. So I am using this iProof to provide solutions for the customers of
Your
Cognitive.
customers, okay.
Cognitive customers.
And they would be what? Something similar, comparable to Zoho Creator, or
No,
comparable
they
to?
are much I would say higher to Zoho Creator, because this is a enterprise grade where it gives you a lot of flexibilities. See,
Okay.
the different markets are addressed. Zoho Creator addresses a different market, but this product is meant for a different purpose. This is meant to build a lot of things are abstracted in such platforms. Here it will not be. It will be very complex. See, for example, I will give you a simple. It is like using between Tally and your SAP, right? If you say go to SAP control module, you will see some 2000, 3000 parameters to control and then do it. Unless you will not be able to do it. But whereas if you say Tally, everything is abstracted, right? You will not see anything. You just simply go start using it, right? And then it will all come. Similarly, this Zoho Creator or all these things are abstracted, but they are very powerful as well. You can still do a lot of things.
Okay.
So different genres of tools.
No, maybe I'll connect with you later. I have developed some applications in Zoho Creator.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking of trying to do it in full stack. Okay.
Okay.
So maybe you have a look and give me the guidance as to what is the best way of
Sure.
doing it.
We'll do that.
Best way of doing it. I'll touch base with you sometime later. Now, in the
Sure.
meantime, we have got not many today. Cricket fever, I think, is a big challenge. Namrata, do you have any question? Or Milind said he may have a problem with the connectivity. Namrata, Milind, or Shruti is your wife, is it, or daughter?
My daughter.
Daughter. Shruti, I don't know whether she has a question to the father. Otherwise, Namrata, yeah, please go on.
No, I don't have any questions. Hello, sir. I'm Shruti.
Yeah, please go on, Shruti.
I have no question for him. So, I haven't expected him, so I can ask him anytime.
You got time there. So, see, I let us continue with our topic here, Muthu. See, there are a lot of startups who are in the space of providing what do you call it as some kind of an aggregator solution. I have a mentee who is trying to build a platform for getting the German and American OEMs identify components in India and source them from India.
Right. Okay.
So for such a thing, is there something where they can really try out quick and dirty so that get the platform up and running at a very reasonable cost? I'm not telling it should be the final solution. It can have its limitations.
No. See, you have to break this into a couple of steps, right? First step is to get a overall process map, right? what exactly you are planning to do with this. When you say aggregator, right? For example, Ola is an aggregation service, right? So you have cars, you are trying to fill the gap by aggregating it into one common place, right? Or Uber, whatever. Similarly, when you do this kind of a sourcing aggregation, you have to be clear in terms of how the manufacturers will come, OEMs, how the buyers will come, how the exchange will happen. Once you are very clear on the flow, right? Then you can try it out in terms of building a smart portals to one of the things. But what these things will help you to step one is to develop the prototype and then see whether the whole thing is working and then concept. But when you start actually getting into and developing it into it, there is a lot of business logic involved into it, so which needs to be done.
Business logic.
Correct. So what will happen is, for example, how do you handle the competitor OEM products getting into it? How do you ensure that the pricing is confidential? Right. So there are a lot of business, requirements, logics have to be managed. So one step is to validate this immediately. You can do it with one of the platforms, very quickly. Probably you can do it, right? Give it 2-3 weeks or even 4 weeks. You should be able to get a decent working prototype to see how the whole thing will work, right? You don't have to do anything because it's all drag and drop, right? And then you can define the flows and then do. But when you want to actually develop it into a product and then post it into live, right? Then it needs a different kind of an approach.
It's a different kind of a solution, correct. For the first prototype and trial, you say you can do quick and dirty.
Yeah,
Very quickly.
correct. Then you try to do it out with. So when we do also provide what we do a very minimalistic approach and then try to give a working prototype to them, right? We develop it in probably 2-3 weeks, depending on what you want, right? If it is a very simple KYC application, it's only one, this thing flow, right? You do it. Then what happens is, all these business logics, there is a lot of workflow involved, right?
Correct.
So you might be able to do it with a simple thing. You need also a BPM integrated to it.
Correct.
All these things will come into the picture. So for prototyping, you can do it with simple tools and then do it. But when it comes to this thing, right, you will have to spend a lot of time into it. See, that is what I was telling, right? So the people, the myth they have is that, local platform, I can just go and then do it in my UI, I can immediately develop. We said, right, boss, you can develop a UI. That is only UI part of it, right? You have a lot of business logic built into it. Right? For example, right, your purchase order to be value is this much to this much. You are tasked to go to this fellow for approval, this much to this much for this fellow to approval. How will you do all these things in your Google?
Correct. You need some logic. Correct.
So that is even giving small examples, right?
Yeah,
just
understand.
to make people
understand. You tell me. See, if you look at a large company, they have over the years implemented ERP.
Right.
I assume that in many Indian companies, ERP may not be really giving the benefit what ERP is supposed to be giving. That is what I see with my own clients, because one is the master data is not something which is very perfect. There are a lot of snacks in the master data. And second is the culture of real-time updating into an ERP is not very strong in India. In the sense, I do the transaction and after that wait for some time to update it into the ERP. And that's something which is very common in the Indian context. And these two reasons, the data in the system is not always up to date. Therefore, it doesn't work. So ERP is mainly used for the purpose of compliance. You say that you got SAP or Oracle or what is that called as other one? Work, is it? Or there is one more which is Oracle. Then Microsoft also have got one.
Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle Labs. There are a lot of things.
So there you use mainly for the compliance purposes. Then over the time, some large companies have got PLM implemented. PLM softwares. Some have implemented CRM. Again, it is not part of ERP. Neither part of ERP nor part of CRM is a different one. And some have implemented what you can call as SCM softwares, SCM applications. And some have implemented HCM, Human Capital Management, is what you can call it, which involves mainly the talent and then recruitment and all that, and all the HR part of it. Some have done it in the ERP, some have done it in a separate platform. Now, how do you see the market in India for, first of all, getting all these systems integrated into one in some way or the other, and then really leveraging each of those systems for the benefit of the company, apart from compliance?
Right. So, a couple of there are too many questions into this one question. Okay, let me take it up part by part.
Yeah.
The first point that in India, this systems is more this thing, there is a delay in updating, right? It depends on very specific implementation. Okay, generalization may not be correct there. I will tell you why. Because many a times it is implementation specific. Okay, if you try to do it a parallel run, this is what will happen, right? So you keep a manual this thing as well as you do this IT system, nothing will work. People will always prefer manual like that. But the implementation has to be in large organizations or like that. You'll have to implement it and say only in IT, no manual process. Then only you will have a successful thing. The second part of it is that there is a lot of automation also happening in the factory level as well, right? So one of the main reason people are telling was that we cannot operate the systems, inside the shop floor or inside this thing. Where now we have lot of alternate solutions available which are doing, right? And a lot of times, many things are all automated as well, right? For example, you have visual inspection through video analytics. A lot of such solutions have been implemented, and there is a big revolution happening with respect to Industry 4.0 as well. So where you don't have to manually take any data out, the system takes care of doing it. In fact, now the next level is in terms of the digital twins for all the factories as well as to the cars, right? So, for example, your car, right? Tesla's EV cars, right? Or EV vehicle, most of it have a digital twin, right? So, sitting at it, real time, you will be able to do, and then you will be able to communicate as well, and then do. So, the digital twins are coming in and then trying to eliminate this kind of a manual update process. So, that is also happening. But what happens is there is also a legacy in some of these places where there have been multiple systems, disparate systems, and then there is an aggregation is also happening. So the aggregation, happening at two levels, right? Either there is a common system that is being built to aggregate this, and then for consolidation and reporting purposes, and then that is where you have all these data lakes and all these things coming into the picture. The second is in terms of the digital twin also is happening. So these applications information is aggregated and then getting into the digital twin aspect is also there. But in all these things, then they apply the AI or ML on top of it and then try to get some meaningful thing out. There is also, when you say that when you have disparate systems, multiple applications are there, right? Over a period of time, all these consolidations are happening, right? That is where it will help you to consolidate and then try to have an aggregate view out of it. Otherwise, what happens is there is a business problem. I mean, the business goals may not be achieved, right? See, the purpose of why you wanted to do it would not have achieved. And many a times, this ERP systems or any system, right? Unless it is implemented and used, it is not going to see the day of the light, right? Till then, it is going to be more of overhead and then, low adoption, and you will not have the required ROI on all these implementation. That is where it is very, very, critical to understand the implementation objective and then ensure that it is used properly so that you get the investment return on the investment.
So you are telling there is a lot of aggregation happening of each of those individual systems. See, when I was in Germany during 2000, I was responsible for technology development in Bosch. And those days, we didn't use the word digital twin, but we said it's a simulation. Okay, we had used Monte
Right.
Carlo simulation to simulate the entire assembly line, and
Correct.
but the purpose we were using it was for basically understanding what would be the effect of a deviation at a lower level. That means at the upstream.
Correct.
Upstream, if there is a deviation, and what would that implicate at the end of the line? Okay, based on that, we could define whether the upstream deviation is acceptable or not. That is
Correct.
what we were doing those days with digital twins. Now, in terms of the IoT, also there are companies who are implementing IoT. There are a lot of solutions. And again, in 2000, we already had IoT in Bosch. We didn't
Yes.
call it as IoT. The word itself was not there. We would
Correct.
only call it as automatic data capture or automatic
It's called
actuation.
real-time data.
Real-time
So
data, or it could be automatic actuation. So, so
correct.
something of that kind we would have said. But the driver was never technology. For us, the driver was always to get a better utilization of the equipment or to improve the quality, which were basically linked to the business. Whereas
Correct.
here in the Indian context, I see a lot of seminars, a lot of offerings which come up, both face to face and virtual, where
Mm.
the IoT as a solution is sold. And you don't need IoT. See, IoT is one of the ways, paths to reach the goal of improving your
Correct.
performance or for reducing your cost. So
Right.
it cannot be that and why do you think that awareness is not very strong in the user industry in India? Not the IT guys. IT guys want to sell IoT, but the user industries should basically pull the uh, pull that to the benefit to their benefit. Why do you think the awareness is not very high?
Right. See, that is a very interesting topic, all these evolutions. Most of it were already there, right? In terms of the sensors, real-time data acquisition, and then, real-time responses, those times, it was all PLCs,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
I remember, I started my career with one of the, core industry system, right? TI. So the CR mill, when the coil is run, right, they will have a sensor which will keep measuring dynamically, and it will adjust the roller to get the
Correct.
coil to the thickness.
Correct.
So these things were already there in
Correct.
those times. Only thing was that the measurement which it took dynamically, probably it was not recorded. It was only displaying what was the thickness of the sheet.
It is a closed loop control.
Correct. So it was not this thing, but still, it had a PLCs, it will have control, it will have automatic this thing, everything it had, right? But what happens is that over a period of time, it all became a two-way communication instead of simply displaying. Then the next evolution was to take this data and then do some meaningful processing. And then the next level of evolution was to again give a command back to it, from this place where you are measuring.
Correct.
So all these things are, were there on these things. What happens is that is why I said, right, some of these things were already there in the thing. Like, for example, the calculator example I gave, right? So it was all there. Only thing is, probably you can have a bigger display, smaller display. Correct. Fundamental thing is still there, right? So when we were trying to get a meaningful, what happens is, first you do this thing. Then you go into a predictive, solution where it is able to predict. Then the next set will be a self-healing, right? So whatever that was there, so when you implement an IoT system and the digital twin, apart from simulation, it gets into the, once you have a sufficient data and then you try to learn from it, then you have an predictive solution, right? Then the next evolution is getting into it in terms of the self-healing the applications. It will try to help do things and then try to manage itself. So we are all moving towards that.
No, but those applications existed quite a long time back. Maybe it was in mechatronics space, because I remember 1986 I joined Bosch. So 86 we already had what we called as a match grinding machine.
Right.
Match grinding machine was a grinding machine where it would sense the internal diameter of completely finished component, and then based on that internal diameter, it will sense the diameter in real time on the component which is being ground.
Correct.
Then it would keep grinding that component till the required tolerance is achieved. And the tolerance there was 3 to 5 microns.
Oh,
3 to 5
very,
microns, very, very close
very
tolerance.
precise component.
And we were manufacturing close to about 1,000, 1,500
No.
components per machine.
Okay. See, this is little different from the self-healing which we are talking about, right?
But
So-
there also some amount of
No,
would have happened, right? Because
this is actually in terms of managing the required output, through a feedback mechanism.
it's a control loop, a closed loop control.
Closed loop, right? But
Ah.
what we are talking about is in terms of self-healing is that there is an issue. You look at your history, more than, see here, your problems are confined to only one in terms of the diameter.
So the variables are more in the self-healing.
Ah.
Correct.
Self-healing. So what will happen is there are multiple parameters, multiple these things where the failure. So the system tries to go and then understand in terms of, do I have a case history? What is the solution in a similar case? What solution provided? And then trying to come back. Right after that, instead of doing assisted learning or the automatic learning, then it gets into providing a solution also based on that. So it can go and then, probably it can run a script or, activate something or activate some other machine, right? Through, or it will give a command to one of the devices through the IoT and then try to get the correction process happening automatically. In fact, these things are more, will be in the process industries, right? So you have a set of processes.
Correct. That is process automation. I think ABB and all, they were there. Honeywell, ABB, they've been there for a
Everything
long
is
time.
there, right? It will all be there where you will be able to control based on this one, how to do it. But where the self-healing will happen is in terms of when there is something, see, this kind of a thing is not available in some of these systems which we are working on, right? So that is where, how do you do automatic healing there? That
No,
is
in the
where
case of, in those cases, what happens? You basically run the simulation, iterate it using your digital twin or before the decision is taken?
See, what happens is there are two ways of doing it, where but the self-healing part is, still far ahead in terms of achieving it. But whatever currently now is, you can go run your, simulation and then find out what happens, okay, when this parameter changes, okay. First is in terms of capturing the event. Now, this is the event which has happened, a problem, something which is stuck, right? Based on the event, you raise an alarm, try to find out whether there is a already a experienced solution. Then you take that solution and then you try to implement. But in cases where you don't have such thing, then you will have to run your simulation and then see, right? Okay, this is a failure. Now, if I change this, what happens? You can try to simulate and then you can have that, solution also implemented.
Okay. See, now I have something which is possibly going to be a little strange to you. We started a discussion with very simple aggregator platforms, which is possibly a
Right.
very simple application, to coming up to talking about natural automatic healing, okay, which involves much more intelligence. Now, in the Indian context, I'm sure the people who are today in the forefront in either a Facebook or Amazon or Intel, most of them are Indians, in the US or Europe. Now, what is it that hinders Indian startups to look at technologies which are of that nature rather than mainly working with e-commerce platforms, trying to customize a Magento, and that flow makes the e-commerce platform is very happy, or builds a very simple, what do you call it as, accounting platform, and the fellow is very happy. What is it that what hinders us in doing that?
See, what happens
Is it the
is,
talent, or where do you think the problem is?
no, what happens is, I think, it is all to do with how the mental thing is being, cultured to the thought process, right? Thinking process, right? So, the entire education system, if you see, It is all channelized. This is what you do. This is what you do, right? For example, till how many years these campuses are going to still give you the same example? Hello world, you want to write the program. Correct. Yeah, otherwise, when you start doing a project, you do library management, student registration, right? You have to come out of that mode. Unless you start giving these kids in terms of how to think radically, what business problems you see. It is not about, this thing. You give them, let them do whatever they want, right? Then what happens is that now actually there is a lot of thing happening at the campuses, right? People are now aware, they are now working on, because, this with the advent of mobile and the internet, now information is at your fingertips, right? So now the kids are more aware of what is happening and they are trying to come out with radical things. So while major portion still remains that other side, there is a considerable portion of the kids. They are now looking into all these things. I am personally mentoring a startup which is having a AI solution. Very nice solution, very neat, clean, and then they are trying to similarly, other things which I am mentoring, right? They all have good solutions, coming out with the radical things. Only thing, as I said, right, you cannot have a technology or rather a solution for the sake of it, right? Just you want to prove that technology, the technology, if you have a solution, right, you will end up like this. So you have to see how it can be applied in terms of, whether your solution is very radical, what will be the acceptance, how you can implement it. And then you should have a path to it. See, what happens is many a times what I see with the startups is they are more, gung-ho about, enthusiastic about the technology, and then, their ability to do, handle that technology gives them the kick to go and do some solution, right? What they really don't have is how I am going to achieve this, right? So the concept is there, but what is the groundwork you need to do? Like, for example, some of the solutions in terms of the water technology or, the green tech, right? They have solutions, right? But how are you going to offer it as a service or a product to the end customer? Right? That is what is the critical thing which, the people have to develop, especially in the startup space, which, slowly is happening. But the major part of it, as you said, the office applications and the back office applications is mainly because how they have been come through. So they are trying to think in terms of things. Also, some of these success factors of some of the unicorns, right? They try to come out with a similar thing, for example, can I be another Uber? Can I be another Ola? Right? So that also has a prejudice in the thought process sometimes. So probably, what the best way is, I have seen some radical solutions from these kids. And some of it, they are stuck in giving a shape to it or giving to an approach, which I tell them, right, and how they have to progress. But definitely, there is a lot of thing happening in the AI, especially with the large language models. There are a lot of things there. People are working on it. But sometimes you have to be very, very, what do I say, clear on what is the business problem you are going to address, right? You want to address it another translation app with your chat GPT, then you it's not going to serve the purpose.
Correct. See, if you look at it, colleges also, I think, organize a lot of hackathons, ideathons, and all that.
Correct.
And what that does nothing much comes out of that in terms of, or is it just very mundane because of the way the students are taught?
So see, some are mundane. Okay. Again, they come up with the same kind of solution, same kind of things. What happens is that is where the role of the guide and the mentor within the college plays a crucial role, right? That catalyst role is not effective to really tell them that you have to come something different, right? So otherwise it ends up, out of, let's say, 50 solutions that are presented in a, innovation thing or a hackathon, right? Probably not even five would qualify to be, which is fair game, right? Because, every day people cannot bring something out of the blues and then do, right?
Correct.
At least something, like this, you keep on doing, some will see the day of the light, some will see the success, some will become a unicorn. So it is a
It's a process of evolution.
evolution, and it is an ecosystem which will
Correct.
keep, in fact, the way we were as a country, probably 10 years back, right? And what we are now, I think we have come a long way on that, right? In terms of the innovation of doing this thing, we have definitely come a long way. And I'm sure that, if we continue this, you see, there is no death of uh, brilliant minds in the country, right?
Correct.
The way we keep churning out the minds, very good this thing. So I'm saying it for a period of time, because many of it, see, the entire IT, if you see, it is all coming into it, and then it has reached a saturation point, right? The
Correct.
automation. Now the innovations are becoming only differential.
Correct.
And trying to add more and all, right? We had a chip which was 10 nanometers, then it came down to 8, it came down to 6, it came down to 5. Then you guys have some, I think right now it is a 3 or 2, something like that,
Correct.
right? So I don't know. It will all, over a period of time follow this kind of a thing. So just example, that like this happening in lot of things. In fact, very interesting, lot of innovations are happening in the medical field. A lot of innovations are happening even in the fundamental research side as well. So, but definitely we will come through with all these things which will enhance. Finally, if you see, right, all these things have to have one single purpose. It has to enhance the quality of life of the individual.
Correct.
Till then, till then, it will all be there, as a, it is like a, successful thing, but it will become irrelevant. Many
I
of
think
the
that what you say is true for any service or product.
correct,
Anything, right?
anything,
Somebody has to
anything.
benefit. Otherwise, there is no point.
No, but in fact, the people have to see that benefit, and then they should be able to willing to adapt it.
Correct.
Because certain things are very luxurious things, which different thing, because you are addressing a very niche market.
Yeah.
But generally, the purpose of technology, will see how many people will talk about, some of these specialized watches which are there in the market,
Correct.
right? Something will be, for Richard Mill watch, it will take, they will say it will cost you 4 crores or 15
No, but
crores.
still, even then,
Okay, fine.
somebody got satisfied with that need, right? He felt he has a better quality
Exactly.
of
That is
life.
what we are talking about, a niche market.
Correct.
We are talking about a niche market.
Niche market.
Niche
So,
market. So you want to play that, then you will have to spend in that, but this thing to do that R&D, to do that this thing, and then address that market.
yeah,
Correct.
that's true.
Correct. So in fact, I still remember one of my consultant, I'm talking about early 96, 97. Okay. He used to say that, see, if you want to earn in dollars, you have to spend in dollars, right? So you have to do that kind of investment to get that kind of a return. Okay. If you pay in peanuts, you cannot expect return in dollars, right? You will only attract monkeys. So it all depends on what is that you want to spend.
Correct.
That is why, the research is very, very important before you launch your product.
Correct.
Do your groundwork, do your profile, ensure that it is foolproof, that, it is handling right things, and then you go on to it and launch with the technology. Because technology, as I said, it is a double-edged sword. You don't handle it, it is going to hit you back.
Correct. So, first of all, thanks a lot, Muthu. And I have to share one information to everybody who is watching the video. Muthu was not given any question. It was an extempore discussion, extempore debate. So, I really compliment you, Muthu, for being so patient in listening to and also demonstrating your competence of handling difficult situations of any mentee you may have. and also to really
Yes.
choose the right direction. Oh, thank you so much for that. And also,
Thank
it's
you.
a hint to all the others who are watching. If anybody wants to contact you, could they do that on the email which you have shown in the presentation?
Yes.
Very much.
They
So
can
thank you
reach.
so much. Muthu is a kind of an expert in technology, as you have already understood, and also a holistic technology, not just technology, technology to the to improve the quality of life, and that's something which is very, very important. So thank you so much, Muthu, and then look forward to meeting you again, maybe
Yes.
in another sit chat in a different avatar.
Different topic.
Different topic. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you very, very much. One second, I'll just take a
Thank
picture of
you.
both of us so that we can post it in the
Yeah.
as a thumbnail. Thank you so much, Muthu. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Dinakar. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
And very
Bye-bye.
brilliant questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.